Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to go over the top secured credit cards for June 2023. Let's go straight into it. So the very first one is going to be the Capital One Platinum Secured Credit Card. You're more than likely you're going to see this more than likely being at the top of the list every single month. And here's why: Capital One actually has one of the best processes for secured cards in general. Let me explain. So when you have a Capital One secured card, what I love about them is that when they look at your credit, they're going to give you a tier system, okay? And they have a three-tier system, all right? So tier one is going to be $49 deposit for a $200 credit limit. The second tier is going to be a $100 deposit for a $200 credit limit. And then the third tier is going to be a $200 deposit for a $200 limit. Now, technically, they have a fourth tier, but it's really not a tier because that's a denial in general. Okay. Essentially, just because if you are, like, let's say, for example, you apply for this credit card and you get denied, listen, it's not the end of the world. That just means that you can't go with Capital One. But when you apply for Capital One, I always recommend people start off with this one because some people they automatically just end up going by things that are near them. So, for example, if they have a checking account at their bank, then they may try to start with their bank. But then most, secured credit cards at your bank are usually going to ask for a $500 deposit, a $300 deposit. I'm not saying y'all ain't got it. I know y'all balling on this channel, okay? But either way, what I am saying is that the more just because you give the bank more for a secured credit card, that doesn't mean that your score is going to grow any faster. So if you have $1,000 limit, a $500 limit, a $300 limit, it again. A $200 limit credit card is all you need. Okay, you ain't got to get fancy, but don't worry because I know some of you guys may have tried to get this card and you got denied. Don't worry, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I want you to understand something because again, there's more perks than just that. So you have the tier system. That's number one. Number two, you got the fact that you're building a relationship with a major bank. Okay. Capital One, they don't just do credit cards. They're one of the nation's largest credit card issuers, especially for the subprime market. Subprime is just a nice name for people that don't have the best credit. When you hear prime, think of steak. Do you want some prime steak or do you want some subprime steak? Exactly. Okay. But either way, that's not, again, it's not the end of the world. But I recommend this because it could potentially save you money. Okay. Imagine putting $200 for a credit card, and then you could have saved that money, right? So either way, with that $49 option, the $100 option, and then of course the $200 option, you'll find out which one you qualify for. And the third reason to consider this particular card is simply because, don't forget, Capital One allows you to add 5 authorized users at no additional charge. However, they don't give you rules and regulations about the type of authorized users you can add. They honestly just don't like to see people being added and people being removed. Okay. When you start adding people and removing people, they thinking that you're actually selling your position or selling your history because that's what some people do. Is you don't want to do that. You will get your account shut down. Trust me on this one. And we've seen a lot of clients with try to do that, and it most definitely happened, for them. Okay. But either way, that card is going to not only do that, but the fourth reason you want to consider it is because there's a $0 annual fee. So it doesn't give you cash back or miles or points or anything like that at all. I don't know why people gave it a 4.2, but again, this card makes sense to me. And again, you won't have to worry about paying interest if you pay your card in full on time. Okay, and don't. That's another thing. Make sure that you guys are only using 10% of the limit. So if the limit's 200, you want to stay around $20 or less, preferably to truly maximize your score. Now, if you use more than that, obviously your score is just going to simply fluctuate unless you have built history. Now, if you've had the card for like 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, something like that, then that's a little bit different. Your score is not going to fluctuate from using a card. But if you're in the rebuilding stages, your score is really fragile. So you don't have to worry about, using it that way. All right. So that's number one. Number two is going to be the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa card. Now, this one is actually on the rise. Chime has been really low key, with giving people credit builder accounts and now this secured card and things of that sort. There's no annual fee, nothing special too much about it. You got to apply for it. They will look at your credit and things of that sort. But again, this is the second option to go with. Okay. Number three is going to be the Capital One Quicksilver Secured Cash Rewards Card. So this one is going to give you obviously a few more rewards. This is really for people that technically could get approved for a Capital One Platinum, which is an unsecured credit card. You guys got to realize something. The Quicksilver is a step up from the Capital One Platinum. That means that they're looking for you to be just slightly better. There are people who apply for this card and they could have easily gotten the Capital One Platinum card without having to, put down any money. Okay. So again, before you apply for the Capital One Quicksilver Secured, I always recommend starting off with the Capital One Platinum. And if that doesn't work, go with the Capital One Platinum Secured. And then if that doesn't work, then you can go with the Capital One Quicksilver Secured. Why is that? Because it's a step above, because it's giving you, look at this, it's giving you unlimited 5% cash back on hotels, rental cars booked through Capital One Travel, where you'll get Capital One's best prices on thousands of trip options. Terms are going to apply, of course. And then you get unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere after that. There's still no annual fee. And they say no credit history. But again, just be mindful of that. Okay. This is actually one of my top recommended credit cards for a lot of people too. The Open Sky Secured Credit Card. I like them because they're no fluff. However, the only thing I don't like about, of course, two things I don't like about Open Sky is one, they're going to hit you with that annual fee. That's $35 they're going to hit you with. And number two, you can't add any authorized users. But what I love about Open Sky is a guaranteed credit approval because they don't look at any credit. All they need to do is verify your information. Now, the only way you can get denied for this card is if you've had an Open Sky in the past and then you messed that credit card up. Now, we're not talking 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We're talking like within 3 to 5 years. Okay. But again, this is going to be a great card. It's a $200 deposit for a $200 limit at minimum. Now, you can put more if you want to, but again, you do not have to, because again, giving them more doesn't necessarily give you more points. Okay. Then you have the next card. Now, this one's going to have a lower interest rate, which is insane. To get 10% is crazy right now. But again, they're already getting some money up front from you, which is that annual fee of $48. By the way, guys, the only way to get out of an annual fee, are you ready for this? Is to close the account out. That's the only way you can get away from an annual fee. Now, there are usually major credit card companies, they'll consider waiving annual fees and things of that sort because they're more premier. But like these entry level credit rebuilding cards and things of that sort, guys, they're not going to be that flexible. You can ask, but don't expect great customer service. Like, come on now, like when you start dipping into things you haven't heard of, like Applied Bank and First Premier and Merrick Bank, there's nothing wrong with these banks. They just specialize in subprime, which is why you don't see them advertising. Okay. Next, okay, so yeah, the $48 annual fee, and then of course the regular APR of 10%, which is actually not bad at all, especially for a secured card. And then last but not least is going to be the First Progress Platinum Elite Mastercard. Okay. Before we go into that one, okay, the Credit One card is not on this list. Okay. But Credit One is, I'm a huge fan of Credit One just because, again, now they actually do a lot of advertising. They own some sports stuff. I can't remember what they do have, but they're making money. Okay. They've also partnered with American Express as well too to kind of collaborate, a subprime, client with a higher premier feel, since you have that American Express Credit One card. Credit One does not get enough credit, to be totally honest with you. However, they're big on fees. They want a fee for giving you a credit limit increase. They want a fee if you don't use the card. Don't forget, Credit One is one of the few banks. First Premier does this as well too, and I believe First Progress does this as well too. If you do not use the card, they will charge you a non-usage fee. Okay, so just make sure you stay abreast of that information. Make sure you read those terms. But as far as Credit One actually giving you credit limit increases, they actually look out for that, even though they charge you for it. But they look at the accounts, and they'll consider giving you credit limit increases on every 3 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. Versus a lot of these other cards, you kind of got to be on them about credit limit increases if you get anything at all. Like with that Capital One, you're building that relationship. So they do auto loans, they do mortgage refinances, they do auto loan refinances, they do checking accounts, savings accounts, they do CDs. So there's a lot of stuff you can do once you have that relationship built. But going back to this one, First Progress Platinum Elite Master Secure Card, annual fees will be $29. The regular APR is going to be $24.99. That's going to be variable. And then, of course, there's no credit history, as that's so they say. Okay. But again, guys, remember, secured cards is just the beginning. Okay. This is what you want to have to kind of rebuild that foundation, and you want to use it properly, paying it on time, not using a whole lot of it. You stand under 10 to 30% if you can. I always tell people to put a small bill on there, put it on auto pay, and just kind of just let it do its thing. But at the same time, if you find yourself kind of going in circles and you say, okay, you know what? I need to have a better strategy. I need to have a better game plan. Listen, we got some great options for you. Okay. If you guys haven't heard, we dropped our new YouTube membership. So we already got a lot of members in there already chopping it up, talking stuff already, just making sure that their goals are right there in front of them. And guys, you are, again, you have goals. And so we have to make sure that you are on track. Okay. And that's what that's all about. So again, with this particular YouTube memberships, you guys will be able to get all of your credit questions answered during our members only lives. And of course, you'll get comment priority on any other videos that I do live as well. Okay, guys, but that's not it. You also get discounts on all of my courses that I have going forward. So that's your first option in improving your score. The next option, which is really icing on the cake, that's our advanced credit blueprint. Now, our advanced credit blueprint is an online course. And what I love about this blueprint is that I made it so simple. You literally just have to go to where your score is. So if your score is between 3 to 5 or 5 to 6, either way, you just look to see what that level is, what that area is, and it's going to give you a game plan step by step and let you know exactly what accounts you need to add and what things you need to start doing to improve your credit score. I cannot tell you how many people we have talked to that were crying on the phone, or that was getting ready to get approved for a home, or getting that car for that first time. Guys, listen, you most definitely can do it. You just need the right strategy. You need the right game plan, and you need to be around the right people that's not only going to motivate you, but that also have goals just like you. Okay, guys? So, of course, as always, if you like this video, like it. If you want to share it, share it. And as always, be sure to subscribe, as we have nothing but great content well on the way. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you all on the next video.